Hey guys, Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. I am not alone. I'm joined by Scratchinator. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Yo, what's up, Ash? Doing pretty good, man. What about you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm gonna be doing even better when I craft a mythical relic in the background right now. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm hoping for you, bro, because I've only got one so far.
Okay, I've got one too. But this is actually, it's 4 legendary mats, so, you know, hopefully we get a legendary. I still have a 0.5% chance. So here we go. You can't see, but you'll tell by my reaction. 3, 2, 1, craft! Hey! We got a legendary.
Knew it!
We got Gorecrescent.
That's good.
Whereas next attack after killing an enemy deals 20% more damage, attack, crit damage, speed. Not my fave legendary, but it's a legendary.
Yeah, it's decent, that one, yeah.
Guys, Ash from the future, really quick cutting in. Just want to say I underreacted to this relic and I underestimated it. Super, super good. Perfect for champions like Georgid. Any champion that gets an extra turn nuker after they kill an enemy. Really, really strong. So shame on me. Yeah, man. All right. Hey, I'm excited. I got legendary. This video has nothing to do with relics, by the way, guys, at all. But I made a promise after I pulled a mythic that I will never, ever again, not forge relics on video. We're gonna talk about the most broken champions of all time in Raid Shadow Legends, how they redefined dungeons, PvE, and the arena, and kind of, you know, is this a good thing or a bad thing when Plarium releases these absolutely disgustingly OP busted champions? But first, Scratch, any recommendations for us? Give me a movie, a TV show, a book, a music, anything you got. One.
So, bro, I've actually recently finished it because there are only a few episodes. 0 Day on Netflix was really, really good with Robert De Niro. I'm a massive fan, so if you like the actor, you're gonna love the series.
Robert De Niro. Okay,
it was actually part of the producing team on it. Really good, yeah. I actually really enjoyed it.
Ooh, that's very okay. 0 Day recommendation.
Yeah.
There, have you watched Severance?
I haven't yet, no.
Okay, it's
is that
good.
on Netflix as well? Gotta check it out too.
Yeah. Have you watched? I mean, this is super old, but have you watched Succession? On HBO?
Oh, man.
No?
I haven't watched HBO, my God, in ages. Since I used to live back in Romania.
Okay. Well, hey, check that out too. Anyway, let's talk about champions, man. Why don't we take a step back into time? Yeah, let's go like way back old school, right? Like way back when we both started playing. I started in 2019. I think, did you start at the same time, roughly?
I think I started before you, to be honest.
Yeah, because you were around like the Foley fusion, right?
Oh, yeah, I started when the Sir Nicholas fusion was still on, yeah, so.
Okay, so the very first fusion. Okay,
yeah.
So who was like, back in the day, what was a champion release, before we get to modern era, that you think was the most powerful champion, like at the time, that just destroyed the game, redefined everything in Raid? Give me an old school. So,
Hegemon is pretty old school. He's probably the one that did a lot of work, yeah. I mean...
People nowadays don't realize.
Kids these days, huh?
So Hegemon, if I remember correctly, was released way before Tormin, so I think was around during the summertime. And oh boy, like he completely changed the entire meta for Arena because he was just one-shotting everything, you know, like you gave him a good build, going first all the time. Like that was the very first real mechanic that they've introduced in that was completely brand new, basically, to everything else that Raid was doing. So I feel like Hegemon was really, really impactful for a very long time. And now he's kind of like sneaking back into the meta for Live Arena.
Yeah, dude, I ban Hegemon quite often.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a second, I got no protection for that shit. So. Yeah, man, Hegemon, I agree. People don't realize nowadays that Hegemon was like how people complain about Armanz, who we'll get to. Like Hegemon, I felt like it was worse community sentiment because there was just no way. There was no stone skin. There was nothing. There was no way to stop Hegemon, you know?
Correct.
I don't know. So anyway, there was like immunity gear. Immunity gear was the rage, right? Like that was the response.
Yeah, that was mainly to stun Hegemons, but versus damage Hegemons, the only real counter we kind of had was shield, and even that was not really as good if you had a good build on Hegemon, you know?
Yeah, I'll go with the old school, man. I'm going to go with the old school epic, believe it or not. And this is not just throwing a cute epic in just to be cute and throwing an epic in. I really think that, because you remember Madame Serris when she was introduced to the game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She was not just Arena, because a lot of people forget if you weren't around back then, but Midnight Ritual, her big money ability, even though her whole kit is really good, this was originally a 3-turn cooldown, man. It was a buff removal, a decreased attack, a decreased defense, all on a 3-turn cooldown. They actually nerfed it, and man, everywhere she was one of the best debuffers in the game, because back in the day, getting an AoE decreased defense and a decreased attack on an AoE, there were no Stag Knights, there were no, like Duck the Pierce. None of those champions existed. She was the best and Void Affinity, she was the best debuffer. And then the Arena, like being able to remove buffs and then place those debuffs. There was no polymorph, there was no none of this crap existed. And you would just boost your Arbiter into a Madame Serris. And I remember back in the day, man, this is when you were trolling the top plat, back in these days. But top platinum, man, Arbiter Madame Serris, Arbiter Madame Serris,
Yeah, literally the only good thing about Madame Serris was that she used to suck in defense because of the AI. But in offense,
yes, you're right.
Honestly, everybody used to run.
There was
her.
no AI back then. She would open up with Trick or Treat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would have opened with the other skill. Yeah, that was the only good thing about her in Arena, because nobody was using her in defense as well. But in offense, my God, imagine now farming the game like we used to, like that in Arena. With Madame Serris and Nuker and Arbiter and just wiping them instantly off. That's crazy.
There was no defense. I think it's Mr. Miyagi is if done right, if do right, no can defend. That was the flying crane kick Madame Serris right there. All right, man. You go next. Any time. Yeah, any era.
I'll bring another epic too, because honestly, I kind of forgot a bit about Madame Serris, but this epic was not released after a while. It was just buffed. And I'm talking about Seer. Seer, even today, she's the #1 monster for waves. Nobody comes close to that, right? Because in the first thing with her, you can build her with kind of okayish gear to gain insane value from her, right? The more buffs. But when they buffed her, if you remember at the beginning, she used to one-shot the bosses. She used to one-shot every single boss, and then they literally changed it a few days later, because I know I wasn't even defeating stage 20 on the dungeons back then when they've kind of buffed Seer, but she used to be so freaking weak before. And after, she's just got here even today, which is crazy. She really aged really, really well,
She really did, man. That's a really good call out. I forgot about that she was so overtuned that they had to go in and nerf. They don't nerf many champions except for Corpulent Cadaver, right?
You can forget it.
But they don't go in and nerf. So when they do, something was really messed up, or not as intended. I'll go with, I still have some old schools, but I want to go modern because I just thought of Androc the Glorious, right? Before they changed him with the fact that you could enfeeble bosses, bro. I remember people in my clan asking is it supposed to be like this? Literally a boss can't land debuffs or hit strong at all with this dude with enfeeble. So he was, before Marius, he was the AoE enfeeble champion out there. And I remember sure, nowadays he's still great in Chimera with the turn meter fill in some areas of the game. But man, you can make the case he was the strongest mythical ever released at the time just because he neutralized everything,
Yeah, with that skill was really crazy, yeah. Really, really powerful, yeah.
And they quickly changed it against bosses. But at the time, that was busted. Who you got next, Scratch?
I think Teodor definitely deserves to be on the list, even though he lost a bit of value recently with all of the changes to bosses and stuff. But when they introduced Teodor, I feel like he was just so freaking good in all of the dungeons. Solo this, solo that, rag the spider, do that. Everything that he was doing, and he's still doing was really, really powerful at that time. And I feel like everybody wanted to have a Teodor for PvE, right? Because in PvP, he was never good. But for PvE, I can't really recall a person saying, no, I don't want to have a Teodor when they released it. Everybody was I want to get Teodor.
100%, man. The fact that he would activate both poisons and burns.
Yeah.
The fact that he could bring the increased speed just randomly on the kit. I don't know. You're right. And the fact that he's tanky enough to be able to solo stuff as well. Really, really just insane addition. You mentioned him earlier, man, so I'll go mention him right now. But old school now, Tormin, man. Tormin the Cold, right?
My God.
They went in there and they had to nerf this passive of his twice,
Yeah, if not more than twice. He was so crazy when they released him that everything was broken in the game. Immunity was not working because the freeze was getting applied before. Shield was causing his passive. Every single buff at the beginning of the fight was causing him. So even the immunity was not the right thing for him at the very beginning, till they actually sorted all that stuff in, I think, in the first couple of weeks or so. But
yeah,
Tormin really impacted the game, and that's what really brought in the immunity meta, actually. Yeah.
Indeed. That's a good point. And man, like right now as it sits, it's like 20% every time they have their buff or turn meter filled, and it can happen twice per enemy turn, once for buffs, once for turn meter. All that conditionality didn't even exist. It was just like you had a billion chances to get frozen every time that, you know, you just sat there, Tormin, you know? So yeah, he was next to Hegemon, just in my recollection. He was the big complaint of like people quitting over this. This is not fun. This is ridiculous. Blah blah blah. So yeah, he was busted. Man, the more we talk about this stuff, the more I'm thinking of other champions too that like people were really upset about.
Exactly, right? Because I just remembered about one right now, literally.
Okay, go ahead. You're up.
Rotos.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my word, bro.
Do you remember? I probably. Any of you guys that have been playing the game for a long time since the release of Rotos, you remember how freaking busted he was at the beginning. Extra turn from the A1 with the relentless, proccing extra turns, taking like 10, 15, 20 turns, wiping the entire team alone without actually needing any help from any other champion in there. Like, man, he was. Even the damage got nerfed on him, if I remember correctly, on that A3 skill.
Yep.
He was just so freaking crazy at the beginning. Every single person was complaining about him way more than they're complaining of Armanz right now, actually, thinking about it. That's how crazy he was.
Yeah, man, I remember you're right, man. In the arena, he was just absurd.
Wiping. Yeah.
Which he still is, but like then he was even worse. And like he could like one shot like Ice Golem. Like I remember him like going into level 20 dungeons. That's all we had back then, right? And it's been like, oh, one shot a boss, no big deal. Like it was insane. So that's a really good call out. I guess I'll just mention Siphi, right? Like, yeah, again, she received a massive nerf and she's still considered one of the best champions in the game to this day, right? Like the A2 used to be on a 3-turn cooldown. That's just so busted, man. And I
think now you need it. Yeah. I think now you need that skill to be on a 3-turn cooldown. That's why personally, like in the Chimera and stuff like this, I never pick her. I feel like that would be so much better, and the revive, you know, to be on a 3-turn cooldown. I know back then when they released her, she was gonna be way too broken like that. But right now, it would be so much better.
I agree, because it wouldn't. Yeah. It wouldn't really change that much in the arena where she's already S tier, but it would give her a lot more viability and allow her to still be like S+ tier in PvE as well if this was a 3. So I actually agree with you there, man. Okay, you're up, I think, this time. Yeah.
Me, yeah. Let's see who else we have that really busted a lot of nuts. I'm not gonna go over Armanz just yet. I'll leave that to you most likely. But
go for it, man. You mentioned him. You go.
Let him take the bullet.
Okay, I'll go for it. Armanz, guys. Okay? I love Armanz. That's why I did not want to take him, because I think
you love Armanz.
Yeah, I think Armanz was a great addition to the game, and there are a lot of people.
Dude, I love the ballsy opinion, man. I actually agree with you. People are gonna lambast us.
But... yeah, I know. That's why I did not want to pick him, because people will flame me now.
Yeah,
but. One thing is, like, I'm a whale, okay? I'm a whale, I have a stacked account. And from my point of view, Armanz gave me the weapons that I needed to fight the Krakens, okay? And I feel like the majority of players should look at it in this way, because if you have Armanz on your side, right? Like, you can polymorph the most OP champion in the enemy team. You can control them, which gives you the upper hand versus super stacked accounts that spend freaking hundreds of thousands, millions, you know? Yep. So that's how I'm seeing it. I feel like Armanz was the force people weapon that was required to be brought in the game. That's how I'm seeing Armanz.
Bro, we are in lockstep agreement on this one. I know that I think that 90% of, from the comment sentiment, 90% of my viewers would love to see an Armanz nerf or delete him from the game and absolutely hate him. And, you know, it's tempting to agree because I love you guys, but I disagree. I agree with you. I think that Armanz was we get this from time to time in the game, right? We get these big meta defining champions and then the meta changes, you know, but it doesn't move as fast as people want it to. But I agree, man. You put it beautifully there. It gave a lot of players an option to contend with some of the disgusting mythicals out there and beyond,
yeah.
you know. So
and it's not just the mythicals, but you have the Marichka, you have the Taras, you had the UDK in the meta for such a long time, which again another champion that really changed way more things than we expected him to do, you know. So when Armanz was brought in the game, it really shifted that meta that was in there for such a long time, and basically it gave people the power to deal with those champions that they were not able to deal before. I know he's annoying being picked all the time in live arena, but that's like a game of chess. You pick him because you know the opponent most likely will ban him, which gives you control over the rest of the 4 champions that you keep in your team, right? So that's why people are picking him. It's like a game of chess. But other than that, it is annoying to go versus him, but you know what? You have the option to ban him.
It's annoying when you go into the chain stun, but it's a lot of champion. Odin's annoying. Nice is annoying. Like I feel like a lot of champions that are strong are very annoying to go against. You know, and I get it. Like losing so many turns is I understand. But I wanted to ask you about Lord Entertainer Fabian because like I'm not sure if he makes the list or not. And I wanted to discuss because I just pulled up a meme on Reddit here. Shout out to Turaza, the poster. But me banning a champion in live arena and then like the finger like Armanz or Fabian, you know? So do you put him on the same level as Armanz? If so, why? If not, why not?
Yeah, I think they come pretty close because he is a strong champion, Fabian. I actually really like Fabian. I like that he has less chances of getting polymorph when he's decreasing the cooldowns of skills, unlike Acrizia, for example, which strips buffs and instantly she can get polymorphed, right? So I think that's a really good plus. He has a speed aura, the fear, the petrification, when they revive, like he can be so freaking annoying. And I know, busted, man. I know a lot of people that are not really appreciating him at his true potential, but the more he'll age, the more the people will realize how strong he actually is when they're going against him. Yes, he is in the meta where we have tons of super strong magic champions. He can weak hit versus them, which does put him a bit at a disadvantage. But if you take that part out of the equation, he's really, really strong, you know?
You know what, man? I don't think we've ever agreed so much in these collabs, bro. I think that I absolutely, I think you're right. I think that people are just getting their hands on him, first of all, right?
Yeah.
I'm already seeing him a little bit in like live arena and top live arena right now, and people are using him with no blessings, with no empowerment. You know, that speaks volumes. You don't really see that, you know, very often. And I think that once people get empowerments and blessings, he'll be more endgame meta as well. I mean, yeah, you said everything beautifully. I have nothing to add, but I agree. I think that he's like the only thing difference between him and Armanz, where I would give Armanz the edge, is we just have more tools to deal with this sort of a champion now than we did when Armanz was released, you know? So like a little bit more, but not a lot. I don't know. I think he's really cool. I like that they added him to the game. Okay, I think it's, I don't know whose turn it is. Do you have anybody?
Yeah, I do actually have the Monkey King, Son Wukong. He was the very first champion to polymorph, right? He freaking revives with that annoying passive. I actually got clapped yesterday in live arena because no matter what I was doing, he was just constantly coming back to life, man. And eventually, he just managed to kill my entire team, and I was so pissed off. But yeah, he's really annoying even now. But when they release him, the polymorph, removing the buffs, reviving the surplus damage, the stun on the A1, everybody used him, and he was kind of like the main counter to UDK actually, right?
Yeah.
So
get rid of him.
Really strong champion as well, Son Wukong, and he's still really good. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Crazy damage.
I'll just stay here in Skinwalkers and give Marius as well. I think he's the most recent addition of game-changing busted champions because of, I mean, obviously his damage in PvE and in PvP, right? Or both, every area of the game. His versatility, bringing those buffs for your team is amazing as well. But really, as in the arena, like having the polymorph-proof A2 that gets rid of Stone Skin and everything else, really redefined what you have to be prepared for in the arena, and certainly he made a massive impact everywhere. Just being an enemy max HP champion that you can get back to in ostensibly 2 turns with the extra turn mechanic. So I think that he really did change the game.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I know some people will be like, well, don't call the champions busted because they'll nerf them. They're not going to nerf them. This is the way
to be very clear, Flare's not going to nerf any of these damn champions. They're not going to nerf Armanz, Taras, and Marichka. They're not going to nerf these guys, you know?
This is how the meta evolved, right?
Yeah.
It's just how the meta evolved. Just think about Marius and think about Septimus, okay? Septimus is a OG vanilla champion, and think about Marius and compare them. And that's the evolution of the game. So that's why comparing it is like, wow, like really impactful in the game, right? Same with Newt, for example. Moving on to the next one. Like,
good call. Good call.
Newt was a fusion. A lot of people were like, just another trash enemy max HP champion. I have Acrizia. I don't need him. Why should I get him? I mean, the most freaking OP for all of the dungeons, right? Like, he's just so damn good that people are tired now of seeing Newt in every single team in dungeons. That's how it goes with him, you know. And everybody wanna get a nut now.
Yeah, indeed, or two, or three,
yeah, or two,
or four,
to be more normal, you know.
You smell something? Yeah, you. A lot of you.
Yeah, man, I completely agree. We've never seen anything like Blessed Bash. With that Dwarven Might. I mean, whatever. I could talk about every single one of his skills, but you're right. I mean, like, he is still one of the most potent PvE champions inside the entire game. And he's 2 years old now. So, like, that's crazy to say that he's still on top, but I think he really, truly is. Acrizia, I felt like she was almost, not to the level of Newt, but I feel like she was like, I just remember the first time I saw her and be like, wait, every ability is enemy max HP? Like, I remember wanting her so bad when she was released, you know?
Yeah, she was really, really solid when they released her, actually.
Okay, I'm going to stay in Dwarves, though. I'm going to go Geomancer. How could he not be on the list, man? This guy redefined how... Okay, let me just say, if you have him, I think he redefined how 99% of Geomancer owners approach this game, right? Because all of a sudden, they had a little cheat code on their hands to kill bosses, right? Like, to kill bosses using a different strategy than all-out nuke or enemy max HP. They could utilize the burn and the reflect. You know, we all know the rest of his kit is actually really good too, but like, really, it's just it's the passive that changed the game, you know, with the synergy on the A3, which has a 3-turn on a 3-turn on the burns. You can just keep it going. From Iron Twins to almost every Doom Tower boss to Hydra to like, you can use this dude everywhere. So I think that for so many accounts, they can attribute a lot of their progression and success to this one epic champion.
Yeah, definitely. And he's even now one of the best epic champions. Do you remember when they tried to change something in his kit, right? And they made him super OP that he was destroying the clan boss on his own.
Yes, I remember the way back in the very early. Yeah.
Yeah. People thought that, oh my god, they nerfed Geomancer, but they actually made him better, in my opinion, with that.
Yeah, it was the accidental buff, the classic move. Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy, though. Like, literally doing billions and billions of damage.
Dude, I feel like we could be here long. Yeah, who you got?
I'm gonna go to a couple, bro, like the Marichkas, right?
Okay, good.
I feel like after Siphi and Rotos, because they were very impactful in the meta when they got released, right? They were super annoying. But then, kind of like in the modern history, to say it like this, Taras and Marichka, bro, like, they were so freaking impactful in the game, and people hated them for such a long time, because this was a meta that lasted for a long time, right? The Marichkas, the Marichkas. So,
it still kind of is, yeah, right? It's like,
I mean, yeah, Marichka, she's still everywhere. Taras, less common in live arena, I would say, than a few months ago, right? But Marichka, she's still pretty much everywhere, and he's being used a lot as well, like, don't get me wrong, but when they got released, like, wow, you know, like, the passive on her, the strength on him, surviving, like, was so hard to deal with, and my god, you know, crazy powerful.
1000%. I mean, we probably should have mentioned him even earlier, because at least even on the level of Armanz, with Armanz aside, I never heard more hate and complaints recently in the modern era, so to speak, of Raid than I did about Marichka and Taras. A lot of calls to nerf these champions, and you don't see that often from the community. The community generally wants reworks or natural counterplay to be added to the game rather than nerfs, but there was a lot of calls for nerfs, a lot man.
There were a lot.
But I think that I'm glad they didn't nerf him, though, because now I feel like they're...
Same. I think
feel like Taras
just
is
right, yeah.
incredibly powerful still, and I feel like Marichka is just like one of the best counterplay options to Gizmax and Cometus, and like, she's so important to the game, you know? So I love him. I'm gonna go with I should have mentioned him earlier, but actually the community champion, bro, Wixwell.
Wixwell, yeah, bro.
Wixwell, man. He Is he right in front of my face? Why am I yeah, he really is. Okay, Wixwell, man, he redefined how we approach clan boss, Demon Lord clan boss, let alone Hydra, other areas of the game. Like, he's very multi-dimensional, but like, he basically killed, if you got your hands on him, he just killed like massive macro strategies of Demon Lord clan boss all on his own. And he made it so much easier to approach for all players, let alone being one of the best provokers in the game for areas like Magma Dragon and Hydra, and having so much you can do with his mechanics, with his shield, and it's just like, I think he really truly changed the game in a massive way.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, he was really impactful even in the Hydra, you know, like a lot of people built a lot of teams with him. Even now, I feel like the majority of the, let's just say, newish mid-game players are using him in the clan boss if they have him, you know, like, there's no way. Even I'm using my Wixwell in the Hydra, you know?
Yeah, dude, he's like, yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast, and he spans, and to your point, end game, early game, mid game. You're gonna love that guy. Yeah.
And a lot of people said that he's trash, right? Do you remember?
I know. He was one that people were definitely pretty low on. Yeah.
The people had to vote for this skill. This sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it was going on, guys. Probably a lot of you forgot, or maybe a lot of you never really paid attention. But we get to see the comments, you know. So that's why I'm always calling it out when people are crashing champions that are really good, you know, just to kind of remind them that, guys, you've done it again. You've done it again.
And that hurt my feelings at the time.
Indeed. You got any others for us? I think I have like one more in my.
Yeah, I have a couple. So,
cool.
Nekhret the Great, bro. Like, he was the hegemon killer. Yeah. The passives, being able to basically bring in a nuker that before you had to put on immunity, you're able to bring it on a savage back into the play, keeping any champion alive, you know. I feel like, my God, you know, like, just such an impactful champion, and so freaking OP for, not only for Arena, but in general, mainly for Arena, but he completely changed the entire meta when they released Nekhret. So unique. Even today, he's so unique, you know?
100%, man. I totally agree. He, like, really did redefine what you were able to do. So I completely agree there. I'm actually going to go with good old Ninja, man. He was a free champ, as we all know, right? But, like, he was, I guess, a legendary version in some parallels to, like, a Geo. Like, you just slot him in and he's going to kill bosses for you, you know, because we've never seen anything like the Hailburn, right? He is the boss killer, was the boss killer, still is the boss killer. Hell, we had a team put out like 18 billion damage, whatever the heck, in Chimera against us this clash, using a ninja as like one of their, and I was like, damn, bro, like, he's still insane, man. He's still like, the fact that you even can control with the freeze, you can reduce the cooldown of that A2, the whole thing, the synergy, the escalation for longer battles. I feel like he really did change the game, especially the first time he was introduced, because back then, burn combustion, it wasn't a thing, you know? And like all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, he can just do all this stuff. You're like, what the heck? So yeah, Ninja.
He was really, really impactful when they added him, you know. And once again, he was super hated by the majority of the players, if you remember that too. Like, people fearing them and sharing it on Reddit. I fed my ninja because he sucks and all that, you know. But he was a very solid champion.
We haven't said any mythicals, man. Isn't that crazy?
I know. I mean, leave the mythicals for another video because they're kind of like newish.
If you had to choose one, though, that redefined mythical, who would you go with?
I mean, Galatir is just like, I mean, I'm out of words, you know, basically. Just that's how OP Galatir is, you know. And I freaking got him on the last 2 acts, so I'm super pumped.
Oh, congrats, man. Congrats.
Game changer.
I would go with, I don't know. I mean, I think I mentioned him earlier, but my most annoying by far is Nice. I hate this.
I knew it. I hate him too because I don't have him yet.
Me too. I don't have him, but boy, I feel like I go get him every damn match, and I hate him. But I would probably go Siegfried, but they're so close. Like Siegfried, whatever. I mean, whatever. We're done talking about mythicals, but they're all busted, right? Who you got? Who you got next?
I have Ramantu for my last one, and he was basically
okay. I like that.
At the beginning, when they introduced him, right? Because now he's not as powerful, but he was the very first champion to block passives and active skills and all the crazy things, right? That he was doing in that format on a skill. So he was really strong. If you remember, like, It used to stop all of the champions, Siphi, Rotos, all of this together, more to Macabres, everyone that basically had some form of a passive to try and basically do something nasty. Ramantu was just completely obliterating them, you know. So Ramantu, in a way, was as powerful when they released him as Marius is now, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah, man, that's a good call out. The passive skills, you know, it's still so annoying, man. Like, it's just like, I still hate going against Carnage, man. Like, he's that ability it neutralizes almost every damn champion in the game, man. It's pretty nuts. Man, I had one, but I can't think of it again. So I guess we've mentioned a lot of freaking champions here, guys, but it's definitely not an exhaustive list. I'm sure there's others that you guys could mention that you think were the most powerful champions ever released. Now, we say released because, you know, we didn't mention a lot of strong champions that were OGs inside the game that were already there, like a Krisk, for example, you know. Man, this is a pretty extensive, I would say, like a rundown, and maybe a little tip through the trip through the time capsule as well into Raid. There's been a lot of the evolution of power creep in this game has been fun to witness in hindsight. You know, at the time it doesn't always feel fun, but it's been a wild ride. So we'll cap it there, but go ahead and let us know, guys. Artak, Ugo, who do you think we should have mentioned in this video that we could have mentioned that changed your account, or you look at as being a massive power creep moment in the game? And check out a collab that we're going to do on Scratch's channel as well. Thanks, Scratch, for joining me. Thank you guys for watching till the end. And as always, take care, guys.